So let's break it down all together. You get figures and you chew it and you chop it. What does this mean? It looks so much that this is perhaps the worst case scenario in terms of budget passage in the history of Nigerian budget process since 1999, isn't it? It
is, you're right. This is the longest period. Don't forget that we might need to adjust for another 2 weeks for the president to comb every point of the budget, and I'll be sure that some items have not been padded, if I'm allowed to use that word, into the budget. And because it's from 8.6 trillion, now we're on 9.1 trillion. Shows that some numbers have been added, especially, I say, the capital project has been the most of the breakdown. We are going to be looking at possibly middle of June before we can possibly be very, very certain that we'll get a budget out. But we look at the 2017 budget was signed, was signed by the president on June 7, 2017. So possibly we technically have a budget till June 6, 2017. And I think the rush by the executive would be that that deadline would be respected. And don't forget that next year is a transition year, and there's a tendency that we'll be in the same cycle next year again, because if the budget is presented by the president again in November or in October, the National Assembly might not have that tenacity and that single-mindedness to really focus on the 2019 budget again. I think it's becoming a myth that we can regularize the budget calendar as we go forward in Nigeria. Yeah, almost an impossibility. Yeah, it's tell us, beyond the surface, what we do not know, what is this in this budget that you have fears for? What I have fears for in this budget is this sudden almost 500 billion that's been added to the numbers by the National Assembly. And I have fears about the whole bickering and the whole back and forth that can go between the executive and the National Assembly. Personally, I feel that at the budget of 8.6 trillion, we are really stretching too hard. No, we don't have a revenue that still goes beyond the 4 trillion naira band. Really? Yes, we don't. And the revenue we're doing 8.6 trillion. Where's the revenue strength coming from? Because maybe there's a belief that the trajectory of the oil prices is going around $80 as of now, and so maybe the National Assembly is also in that mode that the excess crude account will swell up in the near time, and definitely that would help cushion the revenue part. But I don't know why we are pushing the budget into the 10 trillion naira mark when we know that our revenue is not moving at that pace. Interesting. So it's a big worry that new items are added to the budget, capital items. The executive is going to throw that back to the National Assembly. How long can that go when we know that with the budget is really something of an emergency? All right. Wherever you may be watching, if you're on the road, if you're in your room, or perhaps you're watching this later after this telecast, well, you have a decision to make, and that is to make sense of what this all means for you as a Nigerian citizen. So we make sense of it all when we come back from this break. My partner tonight, Bismarck Riwani from Chicago, Sheon Igbinde here in Lagos with me. After this break, let's continue the conversation, everyone.